This Darlington NASCAR weekend recap update edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by SGP Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including the NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We're also brought to you by Gametime. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Gametime app and use promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL and win up to 20 times in one game. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. We're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL game. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Fresh off our date with the lady in black, it is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. We are here to recap an exciting weekend of racing from Darlington. Start of the playoffs, Cody. A lot of hot tempers, a lot of hot racing, and some tickets cash, but boy, we were in for a much bigger weekend, my friend.
How many times this year, Rod, are we going to get everything exactly right, only for circumstances to take our tickets away, tear them up in our face, and walk out of the room? Unfortunately, that was the case. Man, what a weekend it's been. Continuing, the news just broke. 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion Denny Hamlin has re-signed at JGR. That likely means the 2311 staying at Toyota deal is done. The dominoes falling into place, Rod. Silly season continues to march forward. But what a weekend. I mean, we had everything. We had playoff drivers after playoff driver after playoff driver having issue after issue after issue. Great racing, strategy calls, weird timing and circumstances, red flag for lights not working. We got a little bit of everything this weekend.
I'm telling you, man, that lady in black, she definitely did not want to let up on those drivers this weekend. And it, it was both NASCAR it was both Xfinity and Cup Series that had a crazy series of events. I mean, we saw a ridiculous Xfinity Series race as well. And I mean, look, honestly, the whole weekend was exactly what we were hoping for as far as action is concerned. Now, again, as far as betting's concerned, it wasn't necessarily our favorite of all weekends, but
it wasn't horrible. I mean, we came out with some okay picks, but I mean, we just got fucking burned on a couple things that really, really would have made it such a good weekend. Like when you got the guy who leads 95% of a race, Rod, and then it doesn't cash, like it's so disappointing. But hey, that's why. We've been on the other side too, right? Where an Austin Hill sneaks through and cashes a big ticket for us, or a Ross Chastain sneaks through and cashes a big one. It goes both ways, of course, but it does suck when everything you talked about and said and all the research put in was accurate and correct, and it still doesn't happen. But that's why they run the race. That's why they play the game. That's why it's called gambling, and I fucking love it still.
Indeed. Get back to that Denny Hamlin situation. Obviously, we just saw the news now that he signed the deal with Joe Gibbs. I mean, I'm not surprised. There was probably I'm not sure the scenario that would have taken him away from that. It seemed like there was just too much grandstanding for that to not be the case. So yeah, I'm definitely not surprised. And honestly, it's the best thing for him at this point, right? I mean, there's no other way to go around it. So
what's up, 80s Eric? Says, how's it going, guys? Rough race for a bunch of drivers. Bell, Harvick, Denny. Yeah, we're gonna which that's half our bets right there. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes for sure. But yeah, Denny, I mean, best case scenario for Denny Hamlin, best case scenario for 2311, best case scenario for Joe Gibbs, best case scenario for Ty Gibbs, like to have a guy like that in the building, like best case scenario for everyone except the competition, really. Like one of the best drivers in the entire series. You got him coming back. I mean, this is how it should have gone. Obviously, Kyle Busch leaving last year left a lot of questions because, like, man, we're farther into the season than we were then, and it hadn't been done. A lot more to go behind the scenes as far as the 2311s and the alliance deal and the manufacturer deal and all that. Assuming that's not been officially announced, but I would assume 2311s extended their deal with Toyota. I would assume they've extended their alliance with JGR. And then I did notice the way that they announced it, signed, sealed, and delivered. Does that mean FedEx is coming back? Because I mean, that had been a big thing, right? FedEx has been with Denny since day one. I mean, they have been a package deal. And FedEx is, I mean, from all the way back in, they ties with the Washington Commanders, where Joe Gibbs used to be the coach. And so they've been with his team a long time. They've been with Denny since he came in, and they've been on that 11 car. Like, it's all tied in together. You would think maybe that means that they return. Maybe that was one of the details they were hammering out, because obviously he's had the Mavis tires. He's had race sport clips this weekend. Like, FedEx not on the car as much as they used to be. So, but yeah, overall, the right deal for everyone involved. And it's good to see him come back. I didn't really look that closely. Did they announce if it was a multi-year deal or?
Yeah, it was a multi-year contract extension. That's what Bob is telling us.
Yeah. That's multi-year extension. So yeah, that's great. This should also mean the 2311 deal's done. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's somebody switch here in the Discord said the boring outcome, but probably the good outcome. Like, yeah, it would have been exciting to see some different changes, right? But this was the expected outcome still. All the rumors are out there, and maybe there was some truth to them. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe, I mean, if you don't go talk to Ford, if you don't go talk to Chevrolet, are you really doing your due diligence? I mean, you've got to make sure you have all the options out there. And of course, Toyota might be your preferred person, but if they can do something for you, Toyota can. I think you have to have those conversations. You can use that as a bluff against Toyota. Maybe we'll just go switch to Ford, and so all those things out there, obviously. But ends all of that. Another domino falls into place. Somebody had brought up, I jumped on, was it Sunday? I think with Derek, or it might have been Saturday with Derek. He was doing his 12-hour live stream. Rough, but had a lot of fun with him. And somebody brought up in the comments that Tyler Reddick let it slip this week about adding a third car next year, I guess, on an interview for 2311. Or he was on an interview on Sirius XM, and he said something to the effect of, next year when we have a third car, and then he quickly walked it back. And so that, as part of all of this falling in place, maybe they've got a deal to get another car. Who goes in that car? Does John or Nemechek go to that instead of the 17? Or not the 17, though. I just saw 17 in the car.
You saw Eric's.
I was trying to read Eric's comment and talk at the same time. Bad idea. But instead of going to the 42, maybe. I mean, there could be a lot more things to come from this. He said it sure would be cool to see Hocevar in a good ride. 17th in the 42. I mean, second career start. He was doing great at Gateway before, obviously, the brake blew out. Nothing he could do about that. Comes into the 42. It's been a bad car all year. The longest race. We talked about don't take the young guys. The young guys prove that as Gibbs and Cindric take each other out. And Hocevar just cruise around to a nice 17th place finish. It's like he's got a bright future, that's for sure.
Yeah, and honestly too, for all of that, it would be nice to see another, even in 2311, have another car. That'd be a pretty decent one to see as well. But
especially, can you imagine getting John Arneal? I mean, he's got to be the top guy. I mean, he's the top guy in the Toyota camp, right? Coming up, you put John Hunter Nemechek over there, or maybe you slide Eric Jones over there and put somebody else at but I mean, I think John Hunter would be the guy. Like, oh man, John Hunter in a third 2311 car. Woof. Then Toyotas get even more scary than they already are.
I'm telling you. Well, yeah, then you're really, then that's where they start to give Chevy a run for their money. And as for Danny is talking to other teams, he's got to swipe, right? He's got to swipe to see what his options are. So
exactly,
it's not bad, not bad at all. All right, let's talk about that race. Let's talk about we'll start with the Cup race because that's the one that's freshest in our memory. We'll talk about that, but let's tell you about DraftKings. Can you believe we've had 7 months without an NFL game? That's definitely crazy, and we're going to be cured of that here on Thursday. Good thing it's over because the NFL is here. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is giving you a can't-miss offer for Week 1. This week, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I don't know what you've been waiting for, but this is it for sure. When you bet just $5 on any NFL game, DraftKings is hooking everyone up, though, with game day greatness. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game day this September. Check out the app. That's the only way you're going to find out what you're going to get. I know that my 49ers are on the docket this week. Bet them at whatever price you get. I don't care. Go on DraftKings. Just click on the 49ers and see what you can do. Parlay them all. I don't care. They're going to beat whoever they play all season long. This week is no different. So download now. Use code SGP to sign up. New customers can take home $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. That's code SGP. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. I know that buying tickets is a stressful thing. Doesn't matter if it's for your favorite sporting event, if it's for a music concert you want to see, a comedy show, your daughter's or your son's choir performances. It's stressful. But I know Gametime doesn't sell your daughter's and son's performances, but they sell everything else out there, and they sell them with great last-minute deals, so you don't have to worry about sitting there waiting for the prices to drop, because they won't, I guarantee you. But with Gametime, you can find the best prices on last-minute offers for all your sports, music, comedy, anything. They got killer deals, like I said, on those last-minute tickets and the best price guarantee, so you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped over all the fun you're going to have. Listen, this is the place for the last-minute ticket deals, but it's also the fastest-growing ticket app in the country for a reason. You can get images of the seats that you buy and know exactly what you're going to look at as soon as you sit down in those seats. So definitely do that. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're all set. I'm telling you right now, you need to get in on this. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off your first episode. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Cody. Well, it was, of course, the Cookout Southern 500. We had this race pegged, and then fate stepped in. So
yeah, I mean, Rod, we had. It's so frustrating when and it was the same thing in Xfinity. Like, fucking nailed it, and it gets taken away from us like that. It'll happen though, and we talked about it. Got that extra 500, that extra 500 miles. That'd be crazy. Extra 100 miles. It's gonna cause differences. It's gonna cause things to happen. We talked about the pressure of the playoffs. Here, things are getting real, and you saw it all night long with playoff guys. I mean, just what a crazy night. So yeah, we'll start it off with the biggest gut punch of them all, probably. Denny Hamlin laddered him all the way. Top 5 plus 110. The podium finish at plus 225. Locked it up, Rod. Not even close. I mean, right out of the gate, right? He falls back to third right on the start, sits back there a little bit. Christopher Bell has the issue. He passes Tyler Reddick. He wins stage 1. He wins stage 2. Absolutely going to dominate this entire race. Thinks he has a loose wheel. Was it a loose wheel? Steve Letarte didn't seem convinced. The team didn't seem convinced. Denny was convinced. Who knows? I'll be interested. Actions Detrimental just dropped, so we haven't had a chance to listen. Obviously, that's where they announced the contract, which, man, smart. That's the content. He's new to the content game, but he's got it nailed already, Rod. Like that's just
He's
perfect.
got a good producer. He's got
build. Yeah, well, yeah. Dale Jr. knows a thing or two about content, right? I've been building it up for weeks and months, even, and then finally, yeah. So, and he had Joe Gibbs on, like actual Joe Gibbs was his guest this week, so that's going to be pretty good. I'll have to check that out. When you're done listening to this, go check it out. But, oh man, it was all perfect, and unfortunately, we'll have to see what he says about that. Obviously, on the pod is where I was getting with that, but it was the right call. Plus 225 to just finish in the top 3, getting him at plus money to finish in the top 5, like best car all night long. I mean, it was his to lose, and lose it he did.
Yeah. But again, this was the whole thing that we were talking about last season too, when we were talking about the 11 car. It was like, this is the way he finds ways to lose races. He wasn't doing that this season. And unfortunately, over the last few weeks, it just seems that it's been slowly deteriorating into where Danny's going to have to fight and scrap through these playoffs to make this happen. Much like his teammate, Martin Truex Jr., who, Cody, did he run this race? Was he in I don't remember ever seeing that 19 car. I mean, yeah,
man, you thought Kyle Busch was, well, yeah, it started there. You thought Kyle Busch was on the radio. Like everything he said all night was just, we're trash. This car's shit. I think at one point he said he'd never driven a worse race car or something.
Wait, was that him or was that, I feel like that was a couple other people on the radio.
Well, I feel like a few people had those cars, but yeah, I mean, lost it in qualifying. The bad start obviously did not help anything. And then just problem after problem. I mean, he ended up getting back on the lead lap, didn't he? So he finished.
He did. He finally got the free pass.
I mean, 18th, like what a great day for him. Like for as bad as his day was, finishing 18th was great. Also, I wanted to point out too, while we were talking about Denny real quick, how important stage points are in the play. Like he walked away with so many points, even though he had the bad finish. He got 20 points for winning the stages, 2 bonus points that he'll carry on to the next round. That's added to his total now. He'll get those when they reset to the next round, assuming he makes it, obviously. But huge how big playoff points are in the playoffs. But yeah, Truex, man, sucks because he probably should have had a car right, and we saw Toyotas were fast. I mean, Toyotas dominant. Chevy led what, like 90 laps at the end of this or something? It was a Toyota day, Toyota night. They were dominant, and had Truex gotten he easily could have switched with Bell, right, and been the guy up there. We could be talking about how Truex dominated this entire race, but got behind the 8 ball early, and things just did not go their way. Eric Jones, one of our bright spots, Rod. I had him top 10 at plus 175, top 5 at plus 500. Top 5 didn't quite cash, although at points there towards the end, he was kind of getting up there close. Finishes in 10th. I mean, again, I saw Chris Worm tweeted something about it, like, we have got to talk about Eric Jones when we go to Darlington, and we did, Rod. It was the right call. It was no fluke. He won here last year. This track specifically, this track in Talladega, he is just really, really good at it, and he finds a way, and a decent day out of Legacy. They've put together some decent days here lately, despite as bad as their season's been overall. So, yeah, good day by Eric Jones. He cashes the top 10 for us at plus 175. I'd place that top 5 bet at 5-1 again because a little more attrition there, and he finds his way even farther up front,
Well, and he could have stayed there. I mean, he was knocking on the door of the top 5 and running somewhere in that top 5. He just started to fall back, obviously, toward the end, and it wasn't necessarily any fault of his own. But, yeah, Eric Jones, definitely a great – and even the broadcast said, too, there's a race that he circles every single year, and it's Darlington, because he knows that he feels comfortable on this track, and if they give him a good enough car, he could turn in a good performance. So my Truex, I had Truex for top 3, had Truex to win, had Truex as a fastest qualifier. Didn't realize I was as heavy on Truex as I was. So I'm knocking all the 3 of those out at once. So we're throwing Truex out the window. But I will say this next one breaks my freaking heart, man. Kevin Harvick, top 5 plus 250. Kevin Harvick was in the top 5 all freaking day. Kevin Harvick was knocking for the lead.
He was the fastest car at the end of that race.
He was,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, there was no stopping this guy. He had the right strategy call to get him on those tires when he did. He was marching his way up to the front. He was about to pit, and NASCAR said, we're not throwing the caution. We're not throwing the caution. Kevin Harvick is 10 feet away. Throw the caution. and then the red light, and then he pits, and then that screws his entire day up. And there was no recovering from that. And I saw your tweet, Cody, that you had put in the Discord, where Childress was like, somebody questioned his moves. Well, what shouldn't you have just passed through, dude? I can't react to stuff that fast.
Rod, I love Rodney. Okay, so first of all, fastest car at the end of this race. He should have easily cashed this. He was up front the whole night. Everything was going his way. Looked very good. He was going to pass. I mean, he was about to pass Reddick, right? And then ended up slipping up or whatever. So then he decides to pit. The winning strategy. No doubt in my mind, that was the perfect call. So much so that the 45 team freaked out, tried to get Reddick to pit road, caused that accident. I understand how fast it's going. I understand you have to be paying attention. You have to know. I know in those 15 seconds, you don't know if he made it or not, but he's got to know. He's the light's right there on pit road. He saw the light come on. Live, I had time to look at the light and see the light come on, and I yelled, he didn't hit the commitment line. And I then saw him pitting, and I'm like, what the spotter didn't see it? I mean, the light, it wasn't like it was 2 feet. Like, it was a good enough distance. I get what Childers is saying. It's quick. It's heat of the moment. But you get your spot back if you drive through. Why even risk it? Yes, if you end up hitting, it's great because you're going to be up front because everybody comes in and gets tires after 5 laps. Everybody else is coming in and get tires, right? But why even risk it if you can promise yourself to come back out in the top 5 with the fastest car? I think that was a rookie mistake by the most veteran team in the garage. I get what he's saying, and I understand, and it was heat of the moment, and you have to make that split this second decision. I think if you don't know, or if you're unsure, or there's any question, and it wasn't that close, like he was far enough back. I think you drive through, you take your spot back, and you pit like normal. He would have still had a chance to win. He would have had a chance to cash his bet. So I think it was a rookie mistake on part of one of the most veteran crew chiefs and drivers in the entire field, which is sad to say, but it ruined their day, and that might be the season, Rod. Harvick and Derek kept talking about this week too, but like he was so dejected last week before the playoffs start. Like he didn't want to talk about the expectations. Like it's almost like he's checked out, which is sad. You don't want to see it. Like this was it, right? They had this one circled. They've talked about how they feel like they need to win to move on. Like now they missed the chance. Harvick's not making it to the next round. I'm going to tell you right now.
I'm so heartbroken by it. Yeah. All that and a bag of chips too. What's up, Rye Cape?
Yes. Hey, Rye Cape. How's it going?
Love that for 80s Eric. I love that he agrees with me. So we'll take that from there. First, let's talk about Underdog Fantasy before we go over the rest of our bets. Underdog Fantasy is a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You can pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats. Then do what you usually do. You spend your Sundays watching the game. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real money. Look, we already laid out an entire Underdog slate for you too, and we were very excited to do that. We're going to continue to do that all season long, so make sure you are keeping tabs with us as we continue on with our Underdog picks on the show. So yeah, go up and sign up for Underdog, and you are going to make your picks, maybe win a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app site or website on underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. Are you a part of our SGP Patreon? Make sure you are. You can sign up now for the Patreon to get exclusive access to contests, including the NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize, plus the weekly Patreon Pick'em. Patreon members also double their prize in the College Football Bankroll Challenge, so make sure you get down on that. Patreon's a great way to support the network and fight back against corporate gambling. Find it at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Yeah, again, I'm just very disappointed in that whole situation. I don't know. Like I said, my reflexes are super slow. And we're about the same age, Kevin and I probably would have done the same damn thing. I'd have been like, oh, the light's red. Look, all my arms aren't moving. So,
But you can go through pit road. Like that is the key is he could drive through pit road at pit road speed, not make the stop, and he gets his spot back because for safety reasons, once you're already down, like as long as you drive through, they'll put you right back where you were. He'd have been right back in second place, or maybe he was third or fourth because he'd slowed down. He'd have been right back near the front. Just a massive mistake in my opinion. I know it's quick, but that could be the end of their season. That could be the end of Harvick's chances at a championship, and it's sad to see, especially in his final season. So, next up for me, Rod, Chris Buescher. Speaking of fastest cars at the end, this guy had won three ovals in a row, and he probably had a chance to win 4 in a row. Like he was right there. He faded a little bit at the end, like ends up finishing in third. I think is where he ended up coming third. Yes, but. Top 10 minus 120. What a joke. Like easy peasy. Top 5 plus 225. Again, almost a joke. Like plus 225 for Chris Buescher. Do not count. If he is not like one of the top 2 favorites this week, Rod, we're betting on Chris Buescher. Like, how do you not at this point, Ed? What else does he need to show you? And you got Bristol after Kansas next week. My God, watch out, people. Christopher Buescher can be a championship contender. And he's proving that more and more every week. So I also took him 18-1, and I wrote in the document to win because I'll feel stupid if I don't. And I would have felt stupid if I hadn't. So I'm glad I took that bet because, by God, he almost won, Rod.
It was close. It was close. And look, and for Chris Buescher, too, both of those RFK cars, I know that the broadcast is continuing to make such a gigantic story out of it, which it should be. But I just want to remind the broadcast that earlier in the season, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast was saying that we were in for a resurgence of RFK. So you guys are welcome for for what we already knew was going to happen. I don't normally pat ourselves on the back. I know you're our hype man, but
I'll pat myself on the back all the time.
I'm just saying, like I had that feeling that you had that feeling that Brad Keselowski was going to really turn the corner. We saw it earlier in the season, and this is it. They are making the statement that they are among the teams to be
the top 4 team. It's not even debatable now. I mean, they are better than Penske at this point. Like, and that's another reason you got to be in the Discord. A lot of really good conversation before the race on Sunday, and we had tossed some bets. Were tossed out there. Added our guy Dido had asked on there what the thoughts were. I said I wasn't really changing much, and I was thinking about it a little more, and I saw the Reddick car, and I was like, okay, we got to put some on Reddick, and that ends up finishing second at 10-1. We got him. That would have been a nice cash. I tossed out his top 5 odds. I think it was a plus money, which ended up being pretty good. Also gave out Chris Buescher over Ryan Blaney at plus 130. That was stupid. It should not have been that way. Cash big on that. 80s Eric 17 to the final 4.
I have it in mind.
You did. I took him making the 8, the final 8, and then Keselowski taking advantage and getting into the final 4 instead of Buescher, just to be different. But if you tell me right now Chris Buescher's going to win the title, okay, he probably does. Like, you can't count him out. He's proven that, and Ford's been really good at Phoenix specifically. Like, and Buescher's been good everywhere. The last 4 ovals in a row, he's been in the top 3. He won 3 of them. Like, you just can't count the guy out. So, yeah.
All right. I had Ryan Blaney as a top 10 car. Ryan Blaney finished as the 9th place car, cashing this bet. But boy, that was a wild ride for Ryan Blaney. That dude was all over. He was up front. He was in the back. He fought his way up and then he fell back again. The fact that Ryan Blaney ended up in 9th place is a testament to how just utterly grueling that race was for him. He managed, like I said, a 9th place finish, but this was a sweat. He started in 4th, which was, you thought, okay, Ryan Blaney in 4th, that's fantastic. Like, we'll take that. He finished 5th in the end of stage 1, and then he was in the top 10 at stage 2. But boy, it just seemed to me as if, like, every time you looked, Blaney was outside of the top 15, and then he had to charge his way back into the top 10 all the time. So pit strategies, I'm glad for those extra 100 laps, 100 miles, because that was the difference between Blaney getting inside the top 10 and not. It was just, oh man, I kept watching the pylon going, Blaney, what are you doing? Blaney, what are you doing? Blaney, where are you at? And then finally at the end of the race, he was finally there.
Yeah, showed up for you, cashed it, plus even money basically. But yeah, that's a good bet. I had Kyle Busch over Christopher Bell, plus 110. Looks a little scary after qualifying, right? Bell, fastest car, sits it on the pole. He jumps. He led the first. Yeah, he led for a while until the pit stop. And hilariously, obviously, he wrecks the 54 at Daytona, bounces him out of the playoffs for sure, gets the 54's pit crew because they're the best pit crew in the garage, and then they fuck up on the very first stop. Very poetic. And then he had a lot of issues throughout the race. So was never really in contention. They caught a big break by that red flag and giving him time to assess and take pictures and make a plan. So that worked out for them nicely. Plus those 8, such a weird thing, the 8 caution laps before the red flag that allowed like him and Logano to work on the cars a bunch. That was interesting, but whatever. Some playoff implications to all that, but hey, lucky for those guys, I guess. But Kyle Busch did cash this one. Not the best day by Busch. I also had him at top Chevy at plus 400. That never was going to hit that. It just, he wasn't going to win today or Sunday or whatever day. But I don't know. He was 11th place, like just okay all day. Wasn't good, wasn't bad, just kind of there. Good enough to cash over Bell, not good enough to hit the top Chevy.
Yeah, and listen, for Bell, I'm not saying there's a conspiracy theory out there that the 54 is crude. He was like, let's get a little payback for that 20 little incident. But I'm just kidding. No, that doesn't happen. It never happens at that level. But I'm just saying, maybe
it is funny how it works out like that. But I mean,
lug nut a little slower.
Even though they're one of the fastest crews, they are a crew that's had quite a few mistakes this year, and that with speed comes mistakes, and that's where you saw it play out. So I guess it's, obviously he had a lot of other issues after that weren't their fault anyways, but oh well.
Cody, if I were to tell you, if I were to ask you, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, or Chris Buescher, which one of those 3 would not finish inside the top 10? Who would you tell me that would be?
Definitely Bubba Wallace. But my question to you, Rod, would you rather the third guy finish 11th, or would you rather him just like wreck out early and kill the bet for you?
I'd rather the third guy do exactly what the third guy had done all day and run in like 30th place and not finish in 11th. I had Busch, Bubba Wallace, and Buescher all to have top
killer
10.
bees.
The killer bees. 625. 6.25 to 1 for this to hit.
This would have been nice.
Oh, let me tell you right now, Bubba Wallace, great day for Bubba. Started 19th, finished 7th, right? And then we had Chris Buescher. We talked about Chris Buescher finishing 3rd place. Fantastic day for Chris Buescher. Kyle freaking Busch has a day that probably he wants to forget at Darlington. Where does he wind up? Oh, 11th. Millimeters, Cody, millimeters from Eric Jones at the end to finish 10th. I mean, I saw the finish. I was watching that last stretch as Kyle Busch ran right up alongside of Eric Jones. And I thought, well, this is going to kill Cody's top 10 bet. But
yeah, but to get the plus 625, like, take it.
And literally, it was that close. It was.
Speaking of passing guys at the last second, shout out to Eric Almirola. A big bet we had in the Discord prior to the race was Almirola over Briscoe.
Oh.
And he was running 4 or 5 spots behind him with like 10 laps to go. I thought it was over. And on the last lap, somehow got around him and luckily saved us, a few of us, a little bit of money, which was nice. Winners, Rod. I had Kyle Busch 12-1. I also had tossed out that you could get him at 15-1 with Max Verstappen as a boost on Caesars. Max Verstappen held up his end of the deal. Kyle Busch did not. I had Keselowski 16-1. Was fast throughout the day. He was up at 3rd for a little while there. Again, Buescher was the better way to go on this. I had both, obviously, but and then Denny Hamlin 8-1, best bet of the night. This was it. I mean, he was the best car. Everything was lining up his way. The loose wheel or whatever the hell was going on there, unfortunately, sank it. Then he got unlucky with there was a chance for him to get back on the lead lap. Was that the Harvick or the Newman caution that cost Harvick? And Truex ends up getting the lucky dog instead of Hamlin. And maybe if he gets back on the lead lap, maybe you get a couple of yellows, some crazy shit, he gets back up there, but just didn't have a chance to get back up there. If that would have happened earlier in the race, maybe he could have got back up there, but again, didn't. Cost him his day, cost us our ticket, unfortunately.
Yep. I mean, what can you say? I mean, Denny Hamlin, that was just a heartbreaker, just as much as Harvick was a heartbreaker. I had Truex there was no heartbreak there at all. Once I saw that he didn't qualify the fastest, there was no way he was going to win. I knew this, so I didn't even get my hopes up at all. It was just frustrating.
That's a good call.
Well, thank you. All right, we've got an Xfinity race to break out. We'll do that after we introduce you to a show we love on the network.
Hey, everybody. If you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
or you're a whiskey fan.
Yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
Coming to you every Tuesday morning, give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
The injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
market movers. After all, we are the Marks.
He is my hubby.
And she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen. Come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Well, it was a much better day for us on Saturday than it was on Sunday as the Sports Clip 200. Sports Clips Haircuts VFW Help a Hero 200 happened at Darlington. Yeah, I mean, look, we picked an Xfinity driver to win, or a Cup driver to win, just not the right one.
Rod, and I talked about it. God, that's what's so annoying. I went into this. I had put Denny Hamlin in this document. I was going to take Denny Hamlin, and I researched my way out of it, and that was a bad decision. A good decision was talking John Nemechek because he fucking dominated. The fastest driver in the fastest car. The thing I'm most sad about, we don't have any Cup guys the rest of the season because, although I think Gibbs might be allowed technically, since he's under that 3-year mark, he might be allowed to run some races still.
Oh, and he might because he's not in the playoffs. So
yeah, double check that rule, but I think he actually might. So we'll see. He could be in the, but otherwise, you're not going to have the big hitters like the Larsons, the Hamlins that jack up the number for these guys, which sucks. But great day. I mean, Derek asked me on that live stream, "What's your favorite series to bet on?" And I said Xfinity. Like, it's the most fun racing to watch. It's always good racing, and we're so good at betting it, Rod. We are. It's just this weekend, and most times this is our best series that we bet on, and why it ends up being that way, I don't know. But we've got something pegged with Xfinity, and I love it. And we had a great day. Kyle Busch, can't trust the 10 car. Said it, and it was correct. I mean, he finished 9th, started 14th. I think he was between 9th and 14th the whole day. Never got ahead, never got behind, just rode around where that 10 car rides around because it sucks. And yeah, so took John Hunter Nemechek over him, plus 120. Easy peasy, best car on the day, gets the better finish. Took Justin Allgaier over him, minus 110. He didn't have as good of a day, but still a good enough day. Cashed both these. Neither of them were a sweat. I mean, they were going to cash all day. Nothing happened to change that, and they did cash. So yeah, easy bets to kick it off.
Indeed, and this was a little bit of an easy bet as well. I had Sam Mayer over Brandon Jones. Mayer started 5th, Jones started 8th. Sam Mayer finishes 3 spots ahead of Brandon Jones. And look,
this one wasn't so easy though. Sam Mayer's car got pretty tore up.
It did too, and that was the thing. But even still, Brandon Jones was not necessarily riding around up front all day either. So this was a matter of Brandon Jones being able to kind of climb his way back as well with Sam Mayer. Yeah, Sam Mayer got involved in an incident in one of the cautions there, one of the many cautions that were happening out there. But yeah, that car got pretty well munched, right? He went straight into the, God, what was that? It was the 18 car, was it? No, I don't remember exactly.
I don't remember which car it was.
Yeah, I can't.
But yeah, that's been a long time ago. A lot of stuff's happened since Saturday, Rod.
Yeah.
But, no.
But anyways, for Mayer to be able to climb his way back up to an 11th place finish, I was definitely happy about that. I was definitely scoreboard watching there to make sure that he finished ahead of Jones, and he did. So thankfully, we got the better end of that. Minus 130. I told you it's pretty juiced up, but we didn't lose, so we didn't pay the juice.
Yeah, and Brandon Jones had a good history here, but these guys should not have been matched up together. And it panned out for you. Austin Hill, top 5, plus 225. Let me reference my notes here, Rod. The notes that I made for this bet. Have you watched Xfinity this season? Again, I rest my case. Like, he almost beat Denny Hamlin head-to-head to win this race. Like, Austin Hill is fucking good. Give this guy. It's the same thing with Chris Buescher. Like, give the these guys are almost identical, right? It's like a carbon copy in the Xfinity and the Cup Series. Like, they're guys on teams that aren't supposed to be the best team. and they're guys that just show up and do their shit, and they're quieter guys. They're kind of country guys, like super nice. Like they just show up, they do their shit, they cash bets for you, and they go home. And Austin Hill just continues to be disrespected. Top 5 plus 225. I mean, he's cashing us all day long. And I mean, just yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you even get this price. I hope they keep giving it to us because we're going to keep taking it every week. Free square for you on the week.
It was indeed. I had Cole Custer as a top 5 car at 3-1. And you want to talk about heartbreak again? Kyle Busch finishes in 11th spot for a top, where we could have had a 6-1 on a top 10 for him, along with the other two. I had Cole Custer as 6-1 for a top 3. Cole Custer finishing in 4th place for a 6-1, not cashing there. But the 5, I mean, the top 5, I said that was a pretty simple one at 3-1. I had a feeling Cole Custer was going to be good. And listen, he was good most of the day. He started in 4th and finished in 4th. It was rolling around the top 10 for most of the day anyways. In the top 5, I mean, he barely left the top 5. He was 5th at the end of stage 1, 6th at the end of stage 2. So really, I mean, he wasn't necessarily in danger at all of being outside of the top 5. It was just trying to get him in the top 3. And he was, again, another one that was like that within a top 3. So frustrating.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad he didn't finish in the top 3 because John Nemechek wouldn't have. He hit 2/3 of my ladder bets at least. Got him at the top 5 plus 140. Got him at the top 3 plus 250. Again, we told you guys the Cup Series guys were not going to take the top 3 spots. Maybe they would, and you'd still cash some of these top 5s, but it was unlikely. It was maybe going to be 2 of them, probably only 1 of them, and it was only 1 of them. Denny Hamlin got the win, of course, but Kyle Larson had troubles early, and Kyle Busch was nowhere to be found all day. So, yeah, John Hunter Nemechek just cashing more bets for us.
Oh, and I'm checking the scoreboard now. Ross Chastain still has not finished this race, by the way.
We're going to get to him in a bit. 23rd.
We're going to get to him now. Oh, yeah, we'll get to him in a little bit, but yeah.
That's right where he should be.
Yeah, and he's still, like I said, he's still running around Darlington trying to figure out if the checker flag is dropped. I had Sheldon Creed as a top 3. This was a pipe dream. Never happened. Never was close. Poor Sheldon Creed just did not get the kind of day that you want as
he still finished 8th. Like that's not that far. That's not that far out of it. I mean,
top 3 though.
But for the odds, I mean, but it didn't. I don't know. We talked about what he'd done before. He obviously taken Larson wheel to wheel last year in this race. Like his teammate had speed. He could have. I would still make this bet again. I think at the price it was a good bet. He's in the top 8, so he's only 5 spots out of it. Get some more late cautions there or something. Could have happened. Riley Herbst over Ross Chastain. Again, like you said, Ross Chastain still has not even finished this race. Herbst, 6th place. Like just shows up, does his deal, goes home, cashes tickets for you. Ross Chastain, again, unless it's an absolutely crazy chaos race at the end, and that's his 2 good finishes were at Watkins Glen, Michigan. That 91 car is not any good, even with Ross Chastain, and it was not good again. And so yeah, this was a no. I couldn't even believe it was offered, to be honest with you, and it easily cashed.
Yeah. Oh no,
it might have been the least I've ever sweat on any bet.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was once he took off, we were like, okay, well, this is cashing, so don't even worry about it.
I mean, it was just a bet. It was basically a bet against does Riley Herbst end up in a wreck or not. And yes, there's obviously maybe he does, and he did in the spring, but if he finished this race, he was gonna finish ahead of Chastain. There was no question about it.
Yeah. On lap 143, Parker Kligerman spun, and he still probably wouldn't have cashed this bet. Anyways, I had him as the winner of Group D with Chandler Smith, the number 11, and Ross. He was beating Ross for sure. At points, he was beating Chandler Smith, but he was never really beating that 11 car. He was making a charge to the front, and he was doing well, but he wasn't in the top 10 in either one of the end of the stages. So again, where the 11 car was in the top 10 in both of them. So really his battle was with the 11, and he was never getting close to the 11. So yeah, I put too much faith in Parker Kligerman, and that didn't cash out for us this week. So bleh.
Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, the Chastain free square in this one. Chandler didn't really show up either. I mean, he didn't have that great of a day. Number 11 has to ruin the party yet again, but oh well, Rod. Took one out of your book here. Took the winning car number over 17.5 at plus 175, Rod. What did LeBron say? Not one, not two, okay, it was three. But first, second, and third, all over this number. And there was 4 cars that I was placing this bet for. And it was the 18, the 19, the 20, and the 21. 19, 21, and 20. First, second, and third. That's why you place this bet. Like, it just, you were getting such good cars. I know there's a lot of cars underneath that number, and it was juiced the other way. At this price, it was a good value and cash for us. And had any 3 of those guys won that race. And I mean, the day was dominated by, and we'll talk about Larson here in a minute, but Larson had his chances maybe to get up there, but I don't know that he was going to win this race had he not had issues anyways. John Hunter Nemechek dominated this day. Hamlin obviously finds his way up there at the end, as does Hill. But this was a really good bet to make.
It really was indeed. And in fact, for 99 laps, this next one was a good one too. And that was the winning car even. That was looking good for 99 laps, as John Hunter Nemechek was the 20 car, leading the field around it for 99 laps. I had him as I had winning car even at plus 170. And really the only one that had a shot that was even was John Hunter Nemechek. Again, Cole Custer, Matthew Berry, Josh Berry was there, Riley Herbst, all of those were
football season.
It
Matthew
is.
Berry.
Can you tell I got to flip. I was just live with
I just got off the NFL Gambling Pod.
Now I'm on this, but 3 of those were even, but it was John Hunter. And if it wasn't John Hunter, obviously we know that Hamlin and Hill were chasing him down. It's so frustrating that he couldn't hold on to the lead. So frustrating he couldn't win. Fastest car, best team, but unfortunately Denny Hamlin had other thoughts about that.
Yeah. Winners, I had Larson plus 200. I'm still not sure if this was a good bet or a bad bet. I think that as a general rule, and generally we do avoid guys that are this high of a number, it's probably not the best strategy to bet it. He was very fast in the race, and we saw what he did on Sunday. Man, the way he drove that wall on Sunday is incredible. But I don't know. I plus 200. I think it was a mistake to take this bet. But had he won it, it would have looked good. I don't know. I'm still torn on it. And I think spreading it out and having John Hunter Nemechek at 9-1 made it not such a bad bet, because you're going to play that insurance play, and he was the best car all day. Like, that was the bet that should have cashed. Oh, I'm so sad. Sheldon Creed at 20-1. We need to go back and look at what Austin Hill's number was, because Hill probably was the better bet, but I don't think Creed at 20-1 was a bad bet as far as a long shot either.
No. And then of course you had John Hunter at 9-1, which was the bet everybody should have made.
That was the one. And man, just the fucking value, like, that is the one that should have cashed, and the number you got for it was just so freaking beautiful. Really sucks that it didn't cash.
Yeah. Well, my next one I thought was good for a second. I had Allgaier 750. That was the boost on Caesars that was given you. He started third, and I thought for sure that this was going to be a good day for Allgaier. He finished 7th, which, again, not bad, but at the same time, he didn't have anything for the rest of this field. He was not going to be able to keep up with the Hamlins or the Nemecheks. Like, he wasn't going to win this race. He was going to have a solid showing like he did, a top 10 showing, but he was never going to win this race.
Yeah, Hill was 20-1, so I deeply apologize for giving out Sheldon Creed instead of Austin Hill, because that was a stupid mistake. But wouldn't have cashed either way. But that looking back, and that's why we do this show. Part of why we do this show, right, is to look back and what could we maybe have done differently, and that is probably what should have been done differently. But oh well, it's still a great card. We hit a lot of bets and should have probably hit the John Hunter at 9-1 again, just like the Denny thing. But hey, racing gods got our back. They always make it right, Rod. And time to go clean up Kansas this week, and got all 3 series. Oh, excuse me, all 3 series running. Cutoff race for the trucks this weekend, as far as cutting to the next round of the playoffs. Final race of the regular season for Xfinity. Second round of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Things are getting serious. Oh, I'm excited.
Last IndyCar race of the season, continuing F1.
So
We got tons
No,
more
no
racing.
F1, no F1 this week, unfortunately.
That's
they're
right,
off. They're off 1 week, but we still have we still got I think 10 F1 races left, which is nice.
Yes.
Sad to see IndyCar leaving so soon, but
Oh well. All right. Well then, let's go ahead and send this one back where it came from. We'll send the lady in black and the track too tough to tame. We'll leave her alone for the time being. We'll see her.
We'll
again
visit you
spring.
again next year, ma'am.
Indeed. So in the meantime, as we gear up toward Kansas, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media, Cody?
Yeah, Kansas this week. It's exciting. I'm ready for it. We had a lot of success, man, and the racing. Oh, the racing was so good back in the spring when we were at Kansas. Going to be good again this time. A lot more on the line for all three series. I'm super, super pumped for this races. They're all going to be very good, exciting. So make sure you join us all week. But yeah, follow me over on at Husker_Zeeb. Ton of NFL stuff out. I got some articles dropping this week. Some running back rankings for week 1. DFS stacks, $5 millionaire maker over on DraftKings for that Sunday slate. Ooh, buddy, I was in the process of writing that article before we started this one, and I found some pretty cool stacks so far. So hoping to hit that, Rod, and maybe we'll go to some more races if we do.
That would be amazing. I'm on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio. Everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, check out the back road over there this week. I won't be there, but Seth and Elliot will be holding it down for you. Fast Money back again this week. And yeah, got some stuff coming out for Sportsbook Review as well. So yeah.
One more thing too. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell. Impromptu live episode right here. The Denny, it just worked out. Like we were planning to go to record at this time. The Denny Hamlin news drops. Rod's like, let's go live. Boom, live. We're here. Had some guys hanging out with us in the chat. Appreciate that. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, make sure you got that. Click that bell so you know when we do go live.
Do all of that. Dorothy, we're in Kansas. We'll see you tomorrow with our Cup Series episode. Till then, let's go racing and let it ride.